After all these years, I never asked any details, any questions. I've been dealing with alcoholism, due to rage, unforgiveness, and what happened to my mom. Didn't want to address this. Been sober for going on 6 years now, and seen every doctor, seen every psychologist, seen every, you name it, put my head back together. I finally feel healthy enough to address it and move forward. If that wasn't enough, 77 days later, my father took his own life. I don't know why. I would like to think I know why, but it's not fair to assume anything. I know this much. My last conversation with my dad wasn't healthy at all. Within hours, he was gone. So why? My question, I have many questions. Why didn't the North Slope Borough Police Department show up? Why didn't they stop this? It was preventable. There is a police department, a North Slope Borough Police Department in Point Hope. I know when I was there, they were on call 24/7, and they did show up 24/7 for minor situations like me stealing a motorcycle. I went to jail. So a lot of questions have arisen since I started asking questions. What I would like to see happen is, someone of interest start asking the right people the right questions as to why did this get this far? Why did she finally get in the ambulance, 9 hours later when authorities were called? Who were the perpetrators? They've pretty much told the entire communities over the past 30 years that they were involved. Why was the evidence burned? Evidence was burned by, my understanding, people that lived in the house. It was my grandma's house. And I recently found out that there was an autopsy on my mother. The state does have evidence of people that were involved with violating my mother, torturing her, raping her, taking turns. 3 men. Why was there a closed case? From the North Slope Borough Police Department to the Kotzebue courts is 2 different regions, but Kotzebue is where the cases go to. Family members were not allowed to go to the court proceedings. It was all closed for the one person that was held accountable for rape. Why? Nobody was charged with a murder, torture, kidnapping. I have a lot of questions. I know there was a cover-up. Why would family members burn the evidence that should have been collected? And why wasn't the evidence collected? Why did the North Slope Borough Police Department showed up almost 10, 12 hours later after a death of someone? It makes no sense to me. Something's missing.
How did you deal with the grief?
For years, I just hated and hated and hated. I heard stories, but never really dug into what really happened. I heard that a particular person bragged and raped and beat other women in Point Hope for the past 30 years. Still to this day, he's doing it. Why won't they do something about that case? I don't know. Me, I hated, I raged, I was miserable. In and out of jail, in and out of counseling for 30 years. Woke up December 15, on my son's birthday, 2015, in jail again. Made a decision to do the right thing and just not repeat that waking up and booking again. A lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of frustration, a lot of unanswered questions, always struggling with forgiving. My mom taught me forgiveness. She's sitting in my grandma's house looking out the window one day, and she looks at her house, and she starts this conversation with several people, and she said, you know what? I forgive my husband, Lenny, and May, and I love them. That rocked my world, and it still does. I'm her oldest son, and I struggle with forgiving the parties that were involved with, harming her. It's a tough situation. Is it healable? I believe so. I've had glimpses of peace and joy. What my mother shared with me, which is Christianity, I find peace, and it's something that I fight for every single day to hang on to. It's not a given to just, let my armor down and think that everything is okay, because after asking all these questions for the past 2 months, I'm right back in the rage, unforgiveness, and anger and frustration, short-tempered around my house. I had to reconnect with getting counseling again, so I'm back in counseling because I need to be in counseling. Can't go this alone without help from the community.
It had to have been a huge loss for the community as well.
I often thought about that, and it's so sad because everything that's happened to my mother tells me that the community is okay with it. If that wasn't the case, why are people still running around out there within the community justifying not only their personal harm in their contribution against my mother? Word is that, non-family members who weren't there were helping cleaning up the scene. If it is the case for the community to be a big loss of my mother, I would like to see it. I haven't been home for a very good reason. Every time I go home, I end up in jail. So I can't do that today. I would like to think maybe they have compassion for what happened to Harriet Jane, June 9, 1985. Let me see it. Show me that you care. From the police department on down, show me that you care. Until I see action from them as a community to clean up that act.
How do you think it affected your father?
Deep down, I know my father loved my mother. He's not here today. 77 days of the thought of these men doing that to his wife. Of 5 children, they were together for 20 years. He's a leader in the community. Everybody looked up to him. He ran the Tequila Corporation. I know it hurt him. I know it hurt him bad. And I believe that he felt responsible, which is really sad. If his wife is gone, of his children, golly, I can't imagine. Reality, I'm just still emotionally screwed up about that thought. But I do know that he loved my mom, regardless of his actions with the divorce.
How do you think it affected your brothers and sisters?
No different than me. Both of my brothers abused alcohol, in and out of jail, but my baby sister, alcohol, in and out of jail. One of my sisters never drank, but that doesn't mean it didn't hurt.
What do you think would help to heal some of those wounds?
First and foremost, I have to be healthy enough to deal with it. I feel responsible as the older son to see to it that, my mom is treated with dignity and respect as a person. Nobody should have to deal with this kind of torture, rape, and abuse, by 1, 2, 3, 4 men all at the same time, and just, shoved in the box and forgotten without any resolution, without any closure, without any justice for her. They treated her like she was a nobody. What I would like to see is my mother get recognition as a human being, as a person. Here we are in the United States of America where, we have a law system that has failed Harriet Lane. And as a result of that, there are many more victims because of the perpetrators still running around out there. And I ask myself, am I asking questions to be spiteful, to be hateful, to be unforgiving, is this about vengeance for me because I'm asking questions about my mom? With my foundation in Christ, I have to really battle with that every single day. I'm back in counseling because this is not about revenge. I love my mom, and I think it's proper that my mom be treated as an equal, as not only a kind, compassionate, loving mother who had no enemies, but as a community member. I keep being asked the same question, are you okay? I'm not okay, but I'll be okay. I would like to see my mother rest in peace. 30 years later, there's still unanswered questions that need to be addressed for her.
What would justice look like for you?
What would justice look like not only for me, but for my mother? But I believe that the people that were involved be held accountable for their action in the torture, rape, and abuse. We live in a society where it's, not okay to do this and it's okay to do that. If what happened to my mother is okay with society, something's wrong. To this day, nobody's been charged with a murder. Something's wrong. It's not even a thought for anybody else other than maybe me and my sisters or my brothers. I'd like to see closure for me, mainly for my mother.
How do you think your mother would describe you today?
My mom didn't raise me to be destructive. She didn't raise me to be dysfunctional. She didn't raise me to hate. She didn't raise me to not provide for her. I believe she is. I believe she's in heaven, I was blessed with 2 children. I didn't sober up until 5 years ago. I would like to think that my mom is looking down now and just thinking, you know what? Right on. Take care of your babies. If I can't take care of myself, I sure can't take care of anybody else. So I go out of my way to take care of myself today, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Then I could provide for my mom's grandchildren. I would like to think it's time for my mom to be heard and get some closure to what's happened to her. Many people were hurt over what happened to my mother. We, as a family unit, would like to see to it that my mother's case is reopened. I would like to see the men that were responsible in harming my mother held accountable. It's not okay that she was treated like this. The case was covered up. Not only the predators that victimized my mother contributed to doing what they did, but, and getting and walking. We have state officials contributed to the cover-up. I would like to see them held accountable too. This could have been resolved a long time ago, but why wasn't it? Mom's oldest boy wasn't healthy enough to address it. I would like to see the case reopened and my mom treated with respect and dignity as a human being for all that she suffered.